and I sip. Hi, for some reason I did not record my intro message, so here it is. Hey nerds, welcome back to my channel. Okay, back to the video. Today I'm going to be doing another movie review. This time I will be talking about The Blackening. But before we get into that, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Now let's get into this. So The Blackening is a campy horror movie, and it follows a group of friends reuniting to celebrate Juneteenth together. And they are celebrating Juneteenth in a cabin in the woods. They find out there's a killer stalking them, and this killer is forcing them to play a game called The Blackening. Their friendship and their blackness is put to the test to see if they can survive the night. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about this movie in particular, and I'm gonna start actually with some commentary because I feel like this movie was so heavy with it. And usually I do commentary towards the end of my movie reviews, but I'm gonna reverse that and do it at the beginning. The first thing I want to discuss is the commentary on the black card. I have a lot to say about this. Oh, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. I'm about to spoil it, so if you don't want to hear about that, go somewhere else. So when Clifton is revealed to be the mastermind behind this whole thing, he reveals his motive as it's stemming from the main cast, you know, excluding him from the group because he's quote-unquote not black enough. And that whole conversation started because he didn't know how to play spades. Now, if you're a non-black person, there are certain things within the black culture that are considered to be staples or canon events. You know, learning how to play spades, knowing and having seen certain movies, this, that, and the other, like very important cultural elements within our community. And let me say this, it is rare that I find myself siding with the villain in any genre, especially horror. I did here, except for the part where he admitted he is an Orange Man supporter. No. We don't do that over here. We don't support that over here at all. I felt for Clifton because his motive, what he went through in this movie, I went through that my whole life. I have 2 videos where I speak on that very experience. These 2 right here. Go watch those. I have been told by some of my own family members that I don't act black or I'm not black enough. And hearing that as a child and hearing it your whole life, you kind of start to have an identity crisis. All that to say, this is still a very prevalent issue within the black community. I do appreciate that in the long run, the conversation around the black card was a huge piece of the story. The next thing I want to touch on is new and or rare storylines that we see in horror. And this movie did take a stab at rare and new storylines. I'll start with the obvious rare, you know, element or storyline is black people in horror movies. Now, if you are a huge horror fan, like I am a huge horror fan, you know that we really don't see a lot of black people in the mix. That's usually because they get killed off first, or they don't make it to the sequel. Also, there's usually just one black person if they are a part of the main cast in a horror movie. This movie takes that trope and turns it around by having an all-black cast in a horror movie. Now, there are horror movies that exist out there with all-black casts, but there are very few. And no, if you're asking, I do not count the scary movies made by the Wayans brothers. I will get to that in a second, but I don't count those. And having said that, you know, having a mostly black or all black cast in horror films, Jordan Peele has contributed to that with his work, so good. That's a good thing. That's a great thing. Next thing I want to talk about is the whole board game thing. Now, me personally, this is my first time seeing a board game, you know, used this way in a horror movie, as the board game being the antagonist, I guess. A friend of mine lightly compared it to Saw, which, yes, because there were some similarities. You had the game runner and the game itself, and then, you know, wrong answers resulted in death. So, very Saw-ish. And no, I'm not counting anything that has to do with Ouija boards. Those by themselves are already horrific and spooky, so I don't count those. I will say this, there's something very organic about a killer board game. It's like a newer version of Man versus Entity, which we actually come to find out that it was man versus man the whole time. But you know, before we found that out, it was like a new spin on Man versus Entity. Next thing I want to talk about is stereotypes. Buckle in, because we're going to talk about this for quite a bit. I watched this movie 3 times, okay? I watched it 3 times so I could fully grasp and understand and fully appreciate it. And I hate to say this, but this movie is one big fat stereotype. And the characters are the main source. Each character represents a stereotype of a different black person. I'll go one by one even. Let's go. We have Lisa. She's the bougie black girl, the uppity one, right? Then we have Dwayne, the gay, flamboyant black person. Then there's Allison. She's the mixed or biracial one. She is half black, half white. Then we have Namdi. This is the proud, woke one. Then there's Shanika. She's the loud, ghetto one. And then there's King, the thug or the gangbanger. They all are a walking, breathing stereotype of some variant of a black person that you've probably seen before in real life. Oh, forgot Clifton. He's the whitewashed one or the unconventional black person, sorry. But still, what I said still stands. Each character represented a stereotype that is perpetuated by both people inside and outside of the black community. I have a hot take, maybe unpopular opinion, but I have to say it. This is not a black movie for black people. This is a black movie for non-black people. More specifically, a black movie explaining blackness to a non-black audience. I don't know if that was the intention, but I could not get down with it. I couldn't. And I was like, okay, so is this supposed to be satirical? Is it going like, is it supposed to be satirical? Or is this how it was actually meant to be written? Like this. And I was just kind of like, And upon first viewing, I was thinking, this is like a bad SNL skit. Lo and behold, guess what? Guess what? The entire plot of this movie was originated from a Comedy Central sketch. The actor who plays Dwayne, who is also named Dwayne in real life, he's a part of this comedy group called 3Pete, and he wrote the original The Blackening sketch. And then I also want to bring this up. Well, Talia, it's camp. You know, campy horror movies exist. Why can't it be camp? Now, if that was the intention of, yeah, okay, this is not just a horror movie, it's a horror movie with camp, okay, that kind of softens the edges a little bit. But if it wasn't, and it was meant to be like a serious horror movie, which I don't think so, because there's comedic parts in this movie to where I think it's like, you know, it's campy too. But if it was meant to be as a serious horror movie, maybe I missed it. I don't know. No tea, no shade, but I feel like this movie, or like even the sketch, would work as an installment in Tales from the Hood 2 or 3. Not the original, because the original was actually good. No shade to Rusty Cundiff, but... And then the second and third time watching it, I realized there were a lot of cringy moments. And then I realized why it was so cringy. All of the main characters are millennials. So that explains that. That and the fact that they said every 2 seconds. Like, we get it. You're black. Looking past all the cringe elements and heavy-handedness, I guess the writing was fine. I didn't see any writing flaws or notice any writing flaws. The writing was fine. I did laugh a few times. Yes. And when I mention heavy-handedness, I'm talking about the parts where the characters would get on a proverbial soapbox and just preach directly to the audience without letting the audience draw the conclusion for themselves. Example, when Lisa caught the second killer and she was like bludgeoning him, she was like, I'm so tired. Why do black women gotta save everybody all the time. Like, so on the nose. And I feel like that was not the place nor the time to express that. Because while yes, no. Because what is this doing here? And she just kept saying, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm like, okay. This could have been delivered differently. There's a way to do camp and like serious, you know, social commentary. That was not it, in my opinion. I feel like it could have been done differently, but maybe that's just me. Overall, if I had to rate the movie, I would give it a 5 out of 10. It's not that I didn't like the movie, I just could not connect with it, you know, in that way. Like, it was fun and it's nice to watch. I watched it 3 times, sat through it 3 times all the way through. It's a very interesting premise, but I just think it could have been handled differently, written differently. I love that we have an all-black cast with, you know, black creators and storytellers. That's amazing. But I cannot overlook how gimmicky the movie is. I'm gonna say something that may be deemed controversial. Maybe it's not that deep, but I'm gonna say this. If this movie came out in the 90s, it would have been a blockbuster hit. Because the stereotypes that I found in this movie that are displayed throughout the film, they wouldn't have been taken as seriously back then. This would be the type of movie that would be labeled offensive to the community and could not be remade again today. That's what this movie felt like to me. And at times, it reminded me of like the spoof and parody movies that the Wayans brothers created, you know, like Scary Movie and stuff like that, all their wacky stuff. That's what this reminded me of at times. You know, comedy coasting off of offensive racial stereotypes, especially black people. We know how they roll when it comes to making those spoof movies. But this movie does get points for making me chuckle a few times. I do feel if this was written to be a straightforward horror movie, you know, not campy, I do feel like I would have a different opinion on it. Because if it went that route, this could have been added to the subgenre of elevated horror. If it was executed differently, absolutely, yes. But yeah, that was my thoughts, my opinions on, you know, The Blackening. I didn't go through the entire plot because I would have been here for 2 hours. Like I usually do. I would have been here for 2 hours. But yeah, that's what I think about it. So that concludes our video for today. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. And if you made it to the end of this video, what I want you to comment. Comment a chess piece emoji. And subscribe if you want to. I'll see y'all on the next go round. Okay, bye.